Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I like Superman. I think he's a fantastic superhero who isn't used the best. I think that a lot of writers cannot get the character. I don't think they can grasp how he is. And basically, how Superman is that he's essentially the biggest bleeding heart of the world, but he's got superpowers and he can do something about it. He is the ultimate altruist. He is a Christ-like figure. He's basically a god. And for that reason, I really much like that character. And I think that a lot of, like I said, I think that a lot of writers can't grasp that character. I think that they just try to underpower him, and they think that the fact that he's overpowered isn't interesting. Which I think Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely with All Star Superman prove that totally wrong. There is so much potential you can do with all those giant powers. Excuse me. And so as of like this Wednesday coming up, which will be the 21st, if my watch is correct, let me check. It will be the 20th. So as of this Monday, or Wednesday, sorry, um, Grant Morrison's run on Action Comics will be over, and I won't be following a Superman book after that because the main Superman book doesn't interest me at all with the creative team and all that stuff, so I'm not going to buy it. And who they're getting after Grant Morrison to pick up for Action Comics doesn't interest me at all either. I believe it's Andy Diggle and the artist who did oh shit, I think it was Tony S. Daniel who's doing the art. But it just I saw the preview for it and it just did not excite me at all. But whatever, I'm sure people will like it and buy it for their own reasons. So yeah, go for it. But yeah, I just won't be following a Superman book. But then DC announced something that really got me excited. Um, DC is going to be doing a digital first set of short stories by top notch creators called The Adventures of Superman. These are going to be non canonical, whatever, Superman stories that are out of continuity that you can just pick up and go from. All star cast is going to be on it. I mean, Chris Somney announced that he's going to be drawing an issue. I can't remember who's writing it, to be totally honest. Jeff Lemire said that he's going to be writing and drawing an issue, which I am especially excited for. I mean, I'm a giant Jeff Lemire fan. I'm Canadian, come on. And just a whole crap ton of others. So I'm very excited for that. And that could be the Superman stories that I want to read. The first of these said short stories is going to be written by none other than acclaimed science fiction novelist Orson Scott Card. Orson Scott Card, I read one thing by him when I was in high school. It was an adaptation of his novel Red Prophet, The Tales of Alvin Maker, Red Prophet, whatever. Marvel adapted some of his works into comic book form. It was originally a prose novel, and admittedly, I didn't really care for it. I didn't even finish it because I just didn't really care, and it just really wasn't my cup of tea. And I didn't care for the writing or the artwork. But he's an acclaimed writer nonetheless, and he wrote Ender's Game, which is essentially a staple for the science fiction genre in literature. And I got to be honest, I never read it, and my reason for that pretty much is the fact that whenever I look up, whenever I get a new writer or a new artist, whenever I buy a book, that is written or drawn by a creator that I've never heard of. I'll look them up. I'll look them up on Wikipedia, and I'll see what else they've done, and see who they are. And turns out that Orson Scott Card is a member of the Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, and he is very much vocally opposed to homosexuality. So much so that he has written thesis statements on it saying why homosexuality is wrong, and it's and whatever, he's a fucking idiot. And yeah, I'm not buying his Adventures Superman story because of that fact. Actually, I should clarify. Not just because of the fact that he is opposed to homosexuality and he has written about his opposition to it as a good Christian boy. No, I'm not buying it because he uses his own personal time and wealth to donate some of his money to anti-homosexual causes, and I believe that he has donated some money to these organizations that essentially suppress whenever same-sex marriage rights come up in the United States Congress. And as well, I think he did a fundraiser, a telethon for these straight alignment camps. It's one thing to have a personal opinion, such as Orson Scott has. I mean, yeah, sure, you're entitled to be homophobic and have that opinion. You're going to be an asshole because of it, but whatever. But it is a totally different and ugly horse if you vocally fundraise hatred and ignorance like Mr. Card does. And I'm sorry, but if I bought one of his books, if I bought one of his stories, it would feel like I'm helping to fund that in some indirect way. And it just doesn't seem right. I morally could not accept that. I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night because of that. This has nothing to do with anything besides the fact that I'm a bleeding heart, and I just think that the United States is kind of crazy with their, anti-gay laws and shit like that. And it's it's funny, I'm not even gay, but I'm still very much of the opinion that these men and women, this is a violation of their human rights. It's very much true. I guess probably because the fact that I'm Canadian, and in the Charter of Rights, it is very much stated that, doesn't matter of your sexual orientation or your race or your ethnic background or your cultural background, or if you have any physical or mental disabilities or anything like that, you're still a human being and you're still entitled to rights. And I don't know, like, the fact that Orson Scott Card fundraises stuff that is totally the antithesis of that just irks me the wrong way. And I think that I can't support that. I don't feel good about myself supporting that. I really don't. Now, this is not me trying to be a smug motherfucker and say, you shouldn't buy. No, look, do whatever the fuck you want to do. You want to buy the story, go for it. However, I'm going to say this in my argument and in my defense and all that stuff. If you totally disagree for everything that Orson Scott Card stands for and fundraises for, and you think that you wouldn't put the money up yourself for those causes, then I honestly think that you shouldn't pay for those stories. Now, there are people saying that they don't want DC to hire Orson Scott Card to write stories, and I'm kind of the opinion of that. I just said that, I won't buy any of his stories based solely on this fact. But, you know, I'm not going to go out and petition because I think that's a bit of a waste of manpower. Because, let's face it, DC Comics is a company, people. It's a business. They want to make money. That's all they want to do. They want to make, they're owned by Time Warner. They want to make a fuck ton of money. That's all, that's their primary concern. And essentially, they're hiring Orson Scott Card, who is a very critically acclaimed and award-winning novelist. That's natural. But I think the fact that he, with his own wealth, that he funds these anti-gay, organizations and all that stuff to suppress men and women's rights as human beings to express themselves sexually within the confines of consensual age and consensuality in general, if that's even a word. But other than that, I kind of don't blame DC for hiring the guy because, let's face it, he's a name that's going to sell books, and that's what they need to sell books. So what I propose, if you really don't want him to write for DC that bad, and personally I don't want him to write for Superman because I think it's a bit hypocritical that someone who advocates hatred and ignorance to be writing the most empathetical, caring, and altruistic, character ever created. I think that, if you want them to not use him anymore as a writer, then don't buy his stuff. Do not buy his stuff. Like, just say out loud, I'm not buying this Orson Scott Card penned Superman comic solely because of the fact that he funds anti-gay organizations. Just say that. That's all you've got to do. Just don't buy it. Say why you're not buying it, and they will catch on. If you hit them where it hurts, and where it hurts most for them is their wallet, they will stop. Trust me on that fact. Now, I've seen people saying that they will outright ban from buying DC comics in general, to which I say that's a little bit too much, okay? If you're going to say that, then, you shouldn't have bought, Marvel Comics back in the day, because under the old regime, it was openly homophobic and they had a no gay character policy. And then that was broken by John Byrne when he created North Star, and now he's married his boyfriend. So anyway, he's also Canadian too. So there you go. But I personally believe that if you really want to make a change, you got to hit them financially. You got to abstain from buying that single thing that Orson Scott Card will be doing. Don't ban DC outright, because let's face it, there is some amazing stuff being published through DC and republished as well. Not only that, there's Vertigo, there's the Wildstorm stuff, there's Mad Magazine. Well, I don't even know if Mad Magazine's good or not anymore. I haven't bought an issue of Mad Magazine for years, but that's besides the point. But you shouldn't ban an entire company just because of one writer who's a homophobic asshole. You should not buy that homophobic asshole's work. And because of the fact that it won't sell, this company will be like, oh, well, it doesn't sell with him. Well, we're not going to make him write anything else anymore. At least, that's what I think would logically happen. But that's just me ranting. So let the message be clear. DC Comics, I will not be buying the Adventures of Superman story that is written by Orson Scott Card, whether it be the digital copy or whether it be the physical copy that is reprinted. And I kind of don't want to do that because of the fact that the physical copy, which I do want to buy because, I'm sure there's going to be amazing stories in it by other creators, because what they do is they put out a short story and they take a couple of those short stories that are done by different creators and they compile them into one single issue. So hopefully the Chris Somney one isn't in it, because I actually really want to read that. But even then, if it means not buying the physical issue that Orson Scott Card will get royalties from, then I will have to do that. And I will buy it digitally, even though I don't really like buying digitally, but whatever. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So, let the message be clear that you will not do that if you are so morally against that. But otherwise, do whatever the hell you want to, read whatever the hell you want to, but just remember this fact, that we as a consumer can control what these companies produce, because if we don't buy it, they're not going to sell it. They're going to realize, oh, they don't want that. So I guess this whole time I was culminating to the argument of basically why you shouldn't buy Scott Lobdell's Teen Titans and still complain about it. And with that, I leave you. Goodbye.